El Paso goes by many names. Sun City, 915. We are known for history, culture, food, and art. In the early 1900s, development and commerce in El Paso revolved around mining and trade. The nationally recognized mission trails are just one example of the many historic sites that portray our region's rich indigenous and colonial history. Since then, El Paso has evolved, and so has its people. We take great pride in nourishing a skilled and capable workforce, with 72% of our population being bilingual. We stay competitive among other large U.S. cities. The region's border location boasts a major trade port. It allows competitive local manufacturers to produce at maximum capacity. Fleet systems are capable of worldwide distribution of parts and products. Our state-of-the-art higher education systems are nationally recognized. The Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center El Paso, the nation's first comprehensive health sciences institution on the U.S.-Mexico border, provides students the opportunities to become doctors, nurses, and researchers. The University of Texas at El Paso offers 74 bachelor's, 74 master's, and 22 doctoral programs. Local government agencies and other economic development organizations help industries become established and expand in our community. The County of El Paso is great for business, but we also keep true to our southern hospitality with plenty of outdoor recreation options. It's easy to keep active in El Paso. We are constantly looking for new industries interested in expansion. We want to offer our help and support in the process. No matter the name, El Paso is proud, strong, progressive. We are El Paso. Come see what we can do together.
You are watching the broadcast of the El Paso County Commissioners Court meetings. Commissioners Court meetings are held every Monday at 9:30 a.m. on the third floor of the El Paso County Courthouse, located at 500 East San Antonio in downtown El Paso. These meetings are open to the public. The meeting will start momentarily.
All county offices will be closed on Monday, January 20th in observance of the Martin Luther King holiday. All county offices will reopen on Tuesday, January 21st, 2020.
The County of El Paso Public Works Department is offering sandbags at no cost or requirements to the public. The sandbags are outside of the facilities and are available 24 hours a day. The location of the county facilities are the following: the Road and Bridge Fabens Warehouse, located at 1331 North Fabens Street in Fabens, Texas, 79838. The Road and Bridge Canutillo Warehouse, located at 191 Canutillo Avenue in Canutillo, Texas, 79835. And the Road and Bridge Montana Warehouse, located at 14698 Van Lane, El Paso, Texas, 79938.
Don't wait in line, pay online. Visit the Financial Recovery Division website at
http://www.epcounty.com/budget/financial recovery.htm to make your payments online or find out more about our kiosk locations. We now accept payments on misdemeanor, felony, and justice of the peace cases.
You can now watch Commissioners Court meetings on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and search for El Paso County Commissioners or El Paso County, Texas. Subscribe to our channels to see our latest videos.
Did you know the County of El Paso's Purchasing Department is responsible for ensuring that all items and services needed by various county departments are purchased in the manner required by the state of Texas? Whether through formal sealed bids or smaller dollar quotations, the county purchasing team is dedicated to finding the best contracting return on your taxpayer dollars. Additionally, the purchasing department is responsible for the tracking of inventory within the county and properly disposing surplus through public auctions. For questions about how to become a vendor and compete for county contracts, or to learn more about public auctions, please contact us at telephone number 915-546-2048.
The 346 District Court Judge Angie Juarez Barril started the El Paso Veterans Treatment Court program in 2012 for veterans and active service members that have been arrested and charged with a felony or misdemeanor criminal offense. To be considered for the specialty court, the statutory criteria includes be a veteran or current member of the United States Armed Forces, including a member of the Reserves, National Guard, or State Guard, and suffer from a brain injury, mental illness, or mental disorder, including PTSD, or be a victim of military sexual trauma, all occurring or resulting from military service. Call Sylvia Serna, Veterans Program Director at 915-546-2119, or email her at sserna@epcounty.com for any information.
Did you know that the County of El Paso's fixed asset control and inventory disposal is handled through the Purchasing Department? Throughout the course of each business year, the county holds live public auctions to dispose of aged equipment, vehicles, furniture, and other items that are no longer needed. To find out about upcoming auctions or to learn more about the county's inventory disposal process, contact the Purchasing Department at telephone number 915-546-2048.
You are watching the broadcast of the El Paso County Commissioners Court meetings. Commissioners Court meetings are held every Monday at 9:30 a.m. on the third floor of the El Paso County Courthouse, located at 500 East San Antonio in downtown El Paso. These meetings are open to the public. The meeting will start momentarily.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Monday, January 6, 2020. Commissioners Court is meeting in regular open session. Would you please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation by Pam Peroni.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
seated.
Judge and Commissioners, it's a privilege to be with you today. Thank you. Almighty God, maker of heaven and earth, how we thank you for a brand new year, a clean slate. As we contemplate 2020, the year that is before us, we recognize that we have no idea what our future holds. Just as we could not have imagined what we would face in El Paso in 2019, we have no idea what lies ahead in 2020. Thank you for the assurance that while we may not know what our future holds, we can know the one who holds our future. Your word is clear that if we search for you with all our hearts, we will find you. We are reminded to trust you with all our hearts and to not lean on our own understanding. As we acknowledge you in all our ways, you will direct our paths. We seek your direction for our county government in 2020. May our county judge and commissioners have wisdom beyond themselves as they chart the course for this year. And Lord, as they and all who are part of the work of county government and commissioners court take care of the business of El Paso County, would you please let them know that you see their unspoken health needs and their heart concerns, and assure them that all things work together for good to those who love you and are called according to your purposes. Right now, we lift up 2 Sheriff's Department employees, Sergeant Rick Aguilar, who is fighting for his life at this moment, and then we lift up Officer Mikey Hernandez, who is at this very moment in surgery in Houston. Father, we speak life over them. We speak life, your life, resurrection life over them. It is with joy and confidence that we anticipate a special year for our beloved El Paso. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen, and so be it.
Pat, thank you so much. And thank you for recognizing the 2 officers, and thank you all for being here. It's always such a great pleasure for you to participate in our county government. You know, we're a new decade, great opportunities, new perspectives that we could think about, and wish all of you on behalf of Commissioners Court a really memorable and a very exciting 2020. So thank you very much for being here.
Item number 4 is the consent agenda, composed of items 4A through 4M. At the request of the county judge, we'd like to pull item 4B for further discussion. Item 4B reads, approve and authorize the county judge to sign the donation agreement between Crime Stoppers of El Paso, Inc. and El Paso County pursuant to Texas Local Government Code Section 351.901. Also, at the request of the District Attorney's Office, we'd like to request item 4C be deleted. Item 4C reads, approve and authorize the county judge to sign the equitable sharing agreement and certification number TX 071015A, year 2019, for submission to the Department of Justice by the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office, contract number 2019-0954. Are there any other items that the members of the court or public would like to pull for individual discussion?
Commissioners?
Move to approve.
Second?
Commissioner Perez?
Aye.
Commissioner Leon is absent. Commissioner Stout? Aye. Commissioner Robinson? Aye. Judge Samaniego?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 5A, resolutions. Approve and adopt a resolution supporting the 2020 Martin Luther King Jr. Food Drive.
Morning, Judge. Good morning, everyone. Whereas Americans pause each year on the anniversary of the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King for his life and work that he's done throughout the nation. whereas El Pasoans choose to honor Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy in many ways, including serving those who are unfortunate through goodwill and volunteerism as a way to carry out the life's work to achieve his dream. Whereas this remembrance include a food drive from January the 6th through January the 20th, which is the holiday for Dr. Martin Luther King, to collect non-perishable food items for distribution to nonprofit organizations that will help the less fortunate in El Paso County. And whereas since its inception, the annual food drive has collected more than 300 tons of food for local organizations such as the Opportunity Center for the Homeless, Center Against Family Violence, Salvation Army, El Paso Homeless Coalition, the Reynolds Home, and many others. And, excuse me. Whereas El Paso County desires to participate once again in this event is a tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King and his legacy. Now, therefore, be resolved that the El Paso County Judge and the Commissioners Court of El Paso County support the Dr. Martin Luther King food drive and encourages the collection of non-perishable items, food items, in collection throughout the community. And by encouraging El Pasoans to deposit food food to feed the hungry in the intangible symbol of commitment to Dr. Luther King, signed by this date, January 2020.
Second.
Commissioner Bettis,
Aye.
Commissioner Stout,
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson,
Aye.
and Judge Samaniego.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Sorry for the stumbling. Judge, got a group of people here that's going to talk about the event, but I just want to, for preliminary, there's two original members of the committee. 20 years ago, I was not on city council, I was a community member. The Martin Luther King Foundation sent a letter to citizens across the nation asking them to do an event in the name of Martin Luther King as an act of kindness. There was about 50 of us at the initial meeting, and we collectively decided that we'd do a food drive. So on the average, we have the group and you as well, because I'm pretty sure you contribute, and you're going to contribute today. I will make sure of that. But we have collected on average about 16 tons of food every year that we've done this drive, and it goes to a great need for our community, people in our community, the homeless shelters, as well as out in Montana Vista. We support the activities out there as well, because they have a lot of people, not throughout the county, that one day, from one day to the next, they don't know where the next meal is going to come from. So this is the effort that we have. So we're asking anyone out there in the community to help support this endeavor, and Ms. Pat White will talk about the location where we have the drop-off sites, as well as if there's any organization, office, business, anyone out there that we have not connected with that would like to participate, just give us contact. Ms. Pat White will give you the information. Ms. Pat White, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you,
Very much,
Commissioner Robinson.
Good morning, Judge and
Good morning.
Commissioners. My name, as Commissioner Robinson said, is Patricia White, and on behalf of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Committee, I would like to thank you so very much for this resolution. The Dr. King Food Drive is a community partnership that includes the city and the county of El Paso, UTEP, local nonprofit agencies, and several community leaders and organizations. This year marks a significant milestone, as Commissioner Robinson mentioned, of 20 years since the establishment of the Dr. King Food Drive, in which we honor Dr. King's legacy through acts of kindness and service to others. 100% of the non-perishable food items collected will be donated to 10 local nonprofit organizations that help the homeless, children, and families in need. During the past 20 years, we have collected and donated over 311 tons, which is approximately 622,000 pounds of food that has helped to replenish the pantries of agencies such as the Opportunity Center for the Homeless, the Center Against Sexual and Family Violence, the Salvation Army, the YWCA Transitional Living Center, and many other nonprofits. Our food drive begins today and culminates on Monday, January the 20th, which is the Dr. King holiday. Collection bins for non-perishable food items are located at the Vista Quality Markets, Sam's on Gateway North, all of our public libraries, here at the County Courthouse on the first and third floors, the Juvenile Justice Center, and the Sheriff's Office. Anyone wanting to donate can drop off non-perishable food items to any of these locations or bring them to our warehouse located at 4922 Hondo Pass by 10 a.m. on the Dr. King holiday. I thank you so much for this resolution. We would like to also introduce to you two representatives from the Opportunity Center for the Homeless, Mr. Andy Farias and Ms. Arcela Lascano.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. My name is Araceli Lascano. I'm the Marketing and Communications Lead for the Opportunity Center for the Homeless. And I just want to mention that we feel blessed that this food drive benefits the Opportunity Center as long as many other organizations. The food collected in this effort, part of it goes to our two resource centers and the family center, and it replenishes our pantry for a month. So this is a huge blessing for us, and we hope that the community participates and donate food in the mentioned locations. Thank you.
Thank you, Araceli.
Good morning, everyone. So thank you to the MLK Food Drive Committee for the chance to speak before the Commissioners Court today, and of course to the County Judge. My name is Andy Farias with the Opportunity Center for the Homeless. And in brief, the Opportunity Center is just one of multiple nonprofit agencies, as Ms. White mentioned earlier, 10 of them in El Paso to benefit from the food drive itself and really to provide to food insecure populations in our area. According to a 2016 survey from the U.S. Census Bureau, 23 of El Paso's population lives below the poverty level and is food insecure. Now, with the 20th annual MLK Canned Food Drive, we will be able to provide hope to some of the most vulnerable demographics of people through the goodwill from our generous community, as we all have come to see within the past several months. So we are very excited that this year's food drive will be more interactive for the general public through a free family-friendly event called Reunited Through Art. It's coming up on Sunday, January 19th, the day before Martin Luther King Jr. Day, from 1 to 5 p.m. at the El Paso Coliseum. We are super grateful for the Dallas Credo Community Choir, UTEP, and the MLK Food Drive Committee for their tireless support and efforts coordinating this art space celebration to ultimately nourish our region. Everyone here is more than welcome to attend. This event is free of charge with, of course, a non-perishable donation to the Canned Food Drive. And I would also be completely remiss if I didn't take a moment to thank the leadership and compassion of Commissioner Robinson for leading the way with this and looking after the place that we all call home. So thank you. And thank you to everyone who has been a part of all of this.
You mentioned about the choir. Could you elaborate a little bit more about the event?
Sure, yes. So we had a community choir based out of Dallas, and they have had success in terms of the fact that they've taken street choirs. They form choirs based out of people who have a lived experience with homelessness, and they, among other formal choirs, that is, and they prepare them, they train them, and they go on tour. They've been on morning shows, televised, and they've had they had some interest in coming to El Paso and Juarez. They're going to have an event the day before El Paso on Saturday at El Punto. I believe that's where the Pope had the Mass when he was in Juarez. And then they're going to jump over here and have the event in El Paso the following day on Sunday. And so they've been working tirelessly with people here in UTEP to coordinate with local dance groups, of course, UTEP's choral group, and student dance groups and choirs as well. And so they're going to be there to go and perform to the community. We're going to have a festival-style atmosphere at the Coliseum, And so we look forward to having them along with other people participating.
Do you have a space for the county judge to come sing too?
I think we might have a spot. I think he's got the golden pipes to do that. So
Yeah, I don't think you
We'll
want to
see.
do that.
No? Okay. All right. Offer's still there.
Well, no, thank you, Patricia, Andy, and Araceli. You know, we were told that because of August 3rd and the refugee situation, that El Paso was going to have charity fatigue. And I tell people, they don't know us. They don't know El Paso. El Paso keeps going, and you know, what a tribute to an amazing man and his legacy, and what a way to kick this off into, you know, celebrating, you know, Martin Luther King's Day. So thank you for what you do. We keep showing not only our city, but the country of how we do things here in El Paso, and I think this is one more effort. So what a way to start 2020 with this situation. Commissioner Robinson, thank you very much for leading that.
And what we're going to do, Judge, we're going to, I'll go down and we're going to make a contribution to the food drive.
Sure. I was reaching for my...
I think it's somewhere else on the, here on the third floor, but that's good right there. Set it on there, Judge, and we'll get a.
Judge, at this time, we'd like to go ahead and go back to item 4B that was pulled from consent.
Sure.
Item 4B also has a correction per Budget and Fiscal Policy Department. Approve and authorize the county judge to sign the donation agreement between Crime Stoppers of El Paso, Inc. and El Paso County pursuant to Texas Local Government Code Section 351.901. Funding is available in General Fund, G Admin, Contract Services General, contract number 2019-0960.
Myla, would you like to?
Good morning,
Good morning.
Judge Samaniego, Commissioner Stout, Commissioner Perez. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you today. I am Imelda Loya, President. First, I would like to introduce the board members and our coordinators, Crime Stoppers coordinators. Lily Murillo Puga, Ann Anthony, Mayela, one of your own. Of course, Javier, our face, Norma Rincon, John Purchase, and Roger Chides. We want to express our appreciation for the support that we have received from the Paso County and from you all in the past few years, and of course today. As you know, Crime Stoppers is a not-for-profit organization, and our members volunteer their time to serve our community through Crime Stoppers. We work to fundraise monies to meet our operating expenses so that we can meet our mission. Our mission is to provide a community offensive by motivating people to provide information about crimes and to offer that may lead to an arrest, and to offer rewards for community contribution to our cause. We make our mission possible by creating a platform that provides the anonymity to all people who may want to provide information about crime, complete anonymity. Without this platform, many of these people would not come forward for fear of retribution. So we make that possible, and that allows us to continue our mission. So your financial support that you provide to us is very important, very much appreciated. It's an encouragement to our board, and a motivation to continue forward to meet our mission every year. And again, we thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you. Myla, any additional comments, Myla, from?
I'll tell you that thank you for supporting Crime Stoppers. Being on the other side, I know that it's hard to allocate any funding just because we're already so tight within our budget, but we do appreciate what you do. This $10,000 does go a long way. And like Imelda said, we do fundraise because we don't get any monies from anywhere else. So we're very grateful for all your support. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Zambrano, any comments for me? The face, as they say.
Well, Judge and Commissioners, again, thank you so much for the support. Crime Stoppers, of course, we work with all the law enforcement agencies. We have a wonderful relationship here with the County Sheriff's Office and all our local and federal law enforcement agencies. And that's one thing. Even though I'm part of the El Paso Police Department, Crime Stoppers works with everybody, and it wouldn't be possible without, of course, the support of you all, the support of the community. So we thank everybody for their support, and again, thank you so much for your time.
Well, you know, I would never dare to speak for Commissioner Leon, but he is such an advocate, and I've learned myself just the impact that what happens when you prevent or when you get information before other things happen. And just the impact of the program is just amazing. And I know he would have loved to be here because he's such a spokesman for your organization. So I thank him as well for his support and sort of educating us as to what really happens in Crime Stoppers.
Yes, sir. And again, you know, and I know Commissioner Leon always says that, just the amount of time that is saved with that information. As an investigator, there's been many tips that have led us, been able to eliminate a lot of things and lead us on the certain direction, and now we can start our investigation and hopefully have a positive result a lot sooner. So
Well,
thank you again.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Robinson?
I can attest to, Javier, come back up.
Sir.
I can attest to you said Javier is the face. During my time on city council, and even before that, I was involved with a lot of things in the community. One thing that concerned me is illegal dumping. And Crime Stoppers was using the face there, was able to solve a crime that we have in our community. It wasn't a major, well, you could say for some people it was considered a major crime, but Crime Stoppers using the face there was able to solve a case in central El Paso with illegal dumping where a person had dumped a bunch of used tires. That's one of the big problems we have in the city as well as in the county. But we were able to solve that crime and prosecute the individual.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate and your time as well for being here. And thank you for volunteering. It's part of what we do, and thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And we have
Thank
a
you.
motion to accept or.
So move.
Second?
Commissioner Perez?
Aye.
Commissioner Stout?
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson?
Aye.
Judge Samaniego?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 6, public comment. We do have 3 speakers signed up to speak. First speaker we have is Mr. Bureau McCollum.
Good morning, County Judge Samaniego and Commissioners Perez, Stout, and Robinson. And I am Burl McCollum. I am the Cub Master for Pack 29. And one thing about the Cub Scouts is that we have different ranks. We go from kindergarten to the 5th grade. And right now I have 2 dens with me, from the Tiger Den and from the Weeblo 2 aerial light dens. One of the biggest things for the aerial lights, that's the last part for they go to be a Boy Scouts. And one of the biggest things they need to do is to meet political figures and learn about the political process and what political figures do on a daily basis. So for us meeting with Commissioner Stout this morning and the County Judge Samaniego, also with us listening here, seeing the process is one of the biggest things so they can get requirements so they can cross over next month to be Boy Scout troops. So I want to thank you much for all the information, everything you've done and do for us. And these are my Cub Scouts. These are the little guys, not the Boy Scouts yet.
Well, Mac, thank you so much. I didn't recognize you at first with your uniform, but thank you for what you do for veterans as well as what you do. We always talk about, our future, our children and our youth, and we want to prepare them. I think El Paso is in a great situation. The county's in a great situation. But I think that our youth need to know and understand what they need to do to step up as they get older. So thank you for that energy that you have, for the volunteering and everything you do for it, not only here, but so many other things. I really appreciate that, Mac. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I do wear many hats. Sometimes I forget which one it is.
Yeah. And thank you, gentlemen. Whatever we could do later on during the day would be perfect. I don't know if you want to introduce your Cub Scouts.
Want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, they're ready right behind you there.
What's your name? All right, Tiger. All right. All right, Tiger.
Jackson.
All right.
Hey, Jackson.
Bobby.
Bobby.
Samuel.
And if you can take a picture with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The next speaker we have signed up to speak is Mr. Victor Pineda.
Good morning, Commissioners, Your Honor.
Morning.
My name is Victor Pina. I'm with the El Paso County Juvenile Justice Center, and today I'd like to read a resolution. This weekend, we will actually be going and conducting a project in conjunction with the with the Salvation Army on Shelter Street to bring awareness to human trafficking awareness. National Human Trafficking Awareness Day is on Saturday, January 11th, and we'll be leading actually the Red Sand Project and initiative here in conjunction with the Salvation Army. So I'll be reading a resolution that will actually be on next week's agenda for approval then. Whereas the state of Texas ranks amongst the top 3 states for the highest number of reported human trafficking cases in the United States. And whereas January is National Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and whereas the Red Sand Project is a participatory artwork created by Molly Gotcham that uses sidewalk interventions and earthwork installations to create opportunities for people to question, connect, and take action against vulnerabilities that can lead to human trafficking and exploitation. Whereas the El Paso County Judge H. Enrique H. Peña Juvenile Justice Center, along with the community partners, support and advocate for youth and other vulnerable people by addressing issues of abuse, exploitation, and human trafficking in programs and practices. And whereas the Juvenile Justice Center Community Improvement Program, the Salvation Army of El Paso, Texas, Paso Norte Center of Hope, and El Paso Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force will participate on Saturday 11th, the Red Sand Project at the Salvation Army of El Paso to raise communities' consciousness of human trafficking. And whereas the El Paso Juvenile Probation Department and its youth engage in Red Sands Project in service learning effort and is now therefore and will be resolved in the El Paso County Commissioners Court Saturday, January 11th, to be known as El Paso Fights Human Trafficking Day. And just a little bit of information about actually Red Sand Project. It's an actual national movement where we get these little Red Sand projects and fill in the gaps where a lot of our human trafficking victims have fallen through the cracks. We'll be filling in the sidewalks at Shelter Place at the Salvation Army shelter there to bring awareness to it. A lot of the pictures that are going to be taken there will be posted to the actual Red Sand Project initiative. That's a national initiative going on and will be publicly recognized and addressed as well. Thank you.
Victor.
What was the time again?
The time is going to be at 9 o'clock, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for what you do from the JPD side, and thank you for this initiative. It's such a sensitive issue, and it's sort of hidden from us, and
Yes,
but it's a very critical one. So thank you for that awareness and for bringing this up to us. And you're saying we'll have a resolution next week on that?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much for that information.
Your Honor, Commissioners, thank you.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you.
Our last guest we have signed up to speak today is Judge Anchondo.
Good morning. And good morning, Commissioners, and Happy
Morning,
New
Judge.
Year to all of you. Two things come to mind when I was hearing about our Cub Scouts. It threw me back about 21 years ago when my son was involved in the Cub Scouts, and I was very involved with him. And it caused me to get my motorhome. Now I need to sell it. He's 26 years old. Two things. Also the Crime Stoppers. I wanted to advise you that our courts and our colleagues also contribute that as a fee sometimes when our defendants plead to cases, and we get to assess an amount that goes directly to Crime Stoppers. So that's our contribution from the courts as well. I have good news. On Friday, I was here listening to an investiture, and as I was listening to the investiture, I received a call from the National Center for Drug Courts, DWI courts, and we were very fortunate to receive our third recognition nationwide as an academy court. So we now again become one of 4 academy courts in the country. The designation brings a lot of attention to our community. I wanted to thank all our community stakeholders that contribute to the help for the court's success, your support as well. Many that contribute to the success of our program, law enforcement, our DA's office, our public defender, our treatment folks, our probation department, and many of the treatment and counselors that help us, our universities, our medical centers, our workforce commission, the list goes on. And the reason being because of that partnership I think it's why we're a success in helping the individual who's afflicted with the addiction of alcoholism and substance abuse, including helping the families also make a turnaround in their family. So we're very proud of that designation. I wanted to share that. They will be coming into El Paso probably late February. I wanted to hopefully have something for them and have you all be part of that, because without your all success, of course, and support, you know, we're not able to function as well. So I wanted to share those news with you. And thank you all so much for your support that you've given the program. We're going into our 16th year in the program. So we hope that we have affected people and changed their lives. And we hope that we have affected families and hoping making our community safer for public safety as well.
And Judge Anchondo, and as you always mention, and your team, just what an incredible recognition and, you know, things that happen in your court, just an amazing. I still feel we need to be a little bit more supportive and more understanding of the impact that you have. And so my commitment is to get a little bit more involved, and not only in getting involved, but letting others know of that impact, because it's just an amazing program. And then with this new recognition, you know, for being the third time, just amazing. So thank you to you and all your hard work and to your amazing team.
Thank the whole county of El Paso. I think it's a great recognition for us
Yes,
as
it
a
is.
whole. As a whole.
It is.
Thank you all so much. I didn't want to take up too much of
No,
your time. I
please.
know you all are busy. And with that, may I be excused?
You may be excused,
Thank
Judge
you all very much.
Anchondo. Thank you.
Item 7A, presentation. Receive a presentation and discuss the monthly report from the Council of Judges.
County Judge and Commissioners, I'm Mike Kikero, the Executive Director of the Council of Judges, and what a great way to kick off the Council of Judges report, but the great news from Judge Anchondo and about his DWI court. We're very proud of it, and as a former out-of-stater, I can say that it is truly a great recognition that we're all very proud of. First off, on behalf of the judges and the court staff in El Paso County, we'd like to wish you the very best in the year 2020. And we believe this will be an important year for El Paso County and your judicial branch. We'd like to announce that Judge Linda Estrada is now a full-time magistrate judge. She has formerly served as a part-time magistrate. And that last Friday, Victor Salas was sworn in as the new judge of the 65th District Protective Order Court. So some new judicial officers to kick off the year. Today, I'd like to focus on one of our metrics, and that is from Court Tools, and that is access and fairness to the courts. A term you will probably hear more about over the coming year is procedural justice. And procedural justice or fairness is a critical part of understanding how the public interprets their experience within the court system and how that experience translates into evaluation of the court system as a whole. We oftentimes when we're talking about metrics, talk in terms of efficiency. But procedural justice we're talking about the same thing, but we're looking at how it affects our court customers. A short video on procedural justice from the Center for Court Innovation was presented at the December Council of Judges meeting, and the video focused on why procedural justice matters and how it can improve compliance and other justice system outcomes. The Access and Fairness Survey is part of our efforts in the courts to improve procedural justice. The Council of Judges in December reviewed the 3-year results of the Court's Access and Fairness Survey at the Council of Judges meeting. The results have recently been reviewed and modified to include the results we received in English and Spanish with the help of Jose Deborah, criminal justice data analyst. The annual Access and Fairness Survey rates court users on the court's accessibility and its treatment of customers in terms of fairness, equality, and respect. The individuals surveyed include litigants, their family and friends, victims, witnesses, attorneys, law enforcement officers, representatives of social service agencies, and individuals doing record searches or having other business in the clerk's office. Judges and court staff are not part of the survey. Our reading of the outcomes reflects that the perception of fairness by our public has improved over the past 3 years, while access measures were mixed. Examples of fairness measures that we use are the way that my case was handled was fair, or I was treated the same as everyone else. Examples of access measures from the survey are I was treated with courtesy and respect, or the court's website was useful. Our courts have identified several projects to improve procedural justice in our strategic plan. Judge Linda Chu, our administrative judge, has directed the Council of Judges to focus on 3 of these. First, study the formation of a family law information center to assist unrepresented litigants. Second, revise the local court rules to provide clearer direction and more consistency. We're well on our way with this. Civil rules, which Judge Chu is taking on personally, we're working on extensively. We've had initial discussions on working on the family court and criminal law local rules as well. So that project is well underway. The last is to improve communication with jurors by posting a judicial officer to greet jurors in the morning and perform final review of qualifications at jury hall. The Council of Judges continue to plan further efforts consistent with both the Council's strategic goals and the county's strategic goal of leading justice reform. With that, I conclude my comments and just say we're looking forward to a busy and successful year. But if there's any questions I can answer.
Well, just thank you for your partnership and the information, very educational for us. So we thank you, the consistency that you've shown in reporting back to us. That survey, you know, when you want feedback of your performance, that's when you really are interested. And so I think the survey really shows the interest that the Council of Judges have to improve. And I think this is what we're all about. You can ask Betsy, it's a continuous improvement in everything that we do in the county. And I think this is a huge contribution. So thank you for the time of reporting and the partnership that we've had with you and the Commissioner's Court.
We look forward to our continued cooperation and partnership as well. People from outside of El Paso County remark on it and say that that is one of the critical factors in their judgment that we have the ability to move forward on justice reform. I want to thank everyone for that, our partners at County Administration, our partners in Commissioner's Court. So we're off to an exciting year.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 8, Public Works. Receive an update on the traffic control plans and procedures related to the Mission Ridge Boulevard Phase 2 project improvements along Pelicano Drive. Further discuss and take appropriate action related to the implementation of any further traffic control measures, including temporary road construction.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners, and Happy New Year. Jose
Good morning.
Landeros with the Planning and Development Department. The item before you is related to the ongoing improvements that are being made along Pelicano Drive, specific to 2 projects. The Mission Ridge Boulevard Phase 2 projects, which we had the groundbreaking, for back in October of last year. This is currently, this is a typo on the presentation, I do apologize. It's expected to be completed in July of 2019. And what that is doing is constructing approximately a 3/4 mile gap that would complete Mission Ridge Boulevard and provide connectivity from Pelicano Drive to Paseo del Este Boulevard, thereby adding to the road network connectivity in the East El Paso Mission Ridge area. The work that is being done on Pelicano to date that has caused significant traffic concerns for the community is the installation of water and wastewater lines from Pelicano to Loop 375 from Mission Ridge Boulevard. This project is being done to ensure that this is being done in conjunction with an economic development agreement that the county has executed with a property owner in the area for the large development that's occurring at the intersection of Loop 375 and Pelicano as well. The provision of water and wastewater lines that were not currently there was part of those conversations with that developer. So that is the reason why that work is being done ahead of schedule on Pelicano as part of the Mission Ridge project is for that reason. Beginning this month, we will begin work on Pelicano Drive, the major widening and reconstruction. Currently, Pelicano is at its most narrow 2 lanes, and we will be widening that to 6 lanes from Loop 375 to Darrington Road. And that construction is expected to last anywhere from 13 to 18 months. But we do feel that we will see substantial completion by January of 21 in terms of the lanes, and only the lanes, right? So you should see the 6 lanes open to traffic by this time next year. Some other things to discuss as it relates to the management of traffic in projects that are currently under construction. Holiday schedules across the community over the holidays saw a number of road projects that are managed both by TxDOT and as well as the county show contractors on holiday. This is one of the only holidays that the contractors actually do take throughout the year. When county employees are celebrating Columbus Day, Juneteenth, President's Day, Martin Luther King Day, our contractors are out there working on these county projects. So the only times that our contractors are ever off are during the holidays, during this time of year, Thanksgiving and 4th of July. Otherwise, they are all out there, and they have been very accommodating because we did request that they provide some additional crew work during the holidays because we recognize that this project and the traffic that it's created is a priority for relief. And the presentation today is going to go over some options that the court could consider to further that relief by providing additional traffic control options for the area.
Jose, what's important about that issue is this is right in front of a school area. And from a public perspective, what the public sees is here's a slower time of traffic because there's not people bringing their kids in and out of school. And this is when the contractor is not working. And so we know that there has been concerns about that. And we want to explain that it is not uncommon for there to be a holiday schedule for contractors. But we need to be cognizant that we may need to, in future contracts, negotiate, for example, when it's somewhere where there's going to be a major change in the traffic, that we may need to see what it would take and at least have the option to have the contractor working throughout a holiday period when it's a heavy traffic flow area, because the public doesn't understand or know that the contractor doesn't take other holidays. They just see that now it's a slower time in traffic and we're not working.
And it is a balance that we have to strike. I know that there were numerous residents that waited for the last minute for holiday shopping, and on the 24th, we're out there in front of the fountains in Cielo Vista, and the contractor there on that TxDOT project also on vacation for the last few weeks. And same thing, to see an empty job site can be frustrating. And we've received calls in our office, and we've explained that to the residents, to the public, and typically we have they understand. We let them know that the problem here ultimately comes down to there are no alternate routes in the East El Paso area, in the Mission Ridge area, for traffic. And so when we shut down a road for road construction, or if there's a major traffic incident along that roadway, traffic does not have access to a network to disperse other traffic to. And so what happens is what we're seeing along Pelicano. And so the options that we are going to present to the court this morning are options that the court may consider that may help to address some of that lack of network connectivity in the short term as we continue to work long term to introduce and construct long-range transportation improvements to this area. This was the exhibit that was initially attached to the agenda item. We were working through the break and even into yesterday to come back with the final options and the analysis and the dollar amounts required to share that information with the court. The first option would be to provide for a northern relief route to Vista del Sol Drive. That yellow line is the intersection of Mission Ridge and Pelicano Drive. So what traffic would do at that point is traffic that is coming from the neighborhood immediately to the southeast of that intersection, as well as any traffic that is coming from east on Pelicano when they get to that point, would have the option of, instead of continuing through the Pelicano traffic to the John Drugan Elementary School site, then ultimately to Loop 375, would have the option of traveling northbound and then hooking up to Vista del Sol and then accessing Loop 375 there. The benefit there is that Vista del Sol has a southbound on-ramp that they would have access to, and that would be provided for there. The second option, which is on the bottom of the exhibit, would be to expedite the completion of Mission Ridge Boulevard. As I mentioned, it is currently on schedule to be completed in July of 2020. And so that little gap would be completed. The importance of that project and the reason why that option is relevant is because, again, it helps to provide for increased network connectivity where there currently is none. When we currently only have one north-south option, one east-west option, people have no other option except to use that road, that route. And by providing this new route, traffic would be able to be dispersed a little bit more equally throughout the area. The third option would be to construct an additional and reversible lane within the existing Pelicano Drive right-of-way from Loop 375 to about Mission Ridge. And that would be open traveling westbound in the morning and then traveling eastbound in the evening. That would provide, and it would be within the existing right-of-way, which would then provide additional capacity. The reason why that stretch of road that's highlighted in purple on the exhibit is experiencing such significant traffic delays at this moment is because it's become a pinch point. Everything to the east or on your exhibit to the right is 2 lanes. But from the west or to the left of that intersection where the purple line starts, to the left or to the west again, that is currently 4 lanes. But because of the water and wastewater installation that we're doing, which involves trenching up to 40 feet deep because of the topography in the area, that area is currently shut down to only 2 lanes. So where there was previously 4, and that could accommodate all the neighborhood traffic from the subdivisions that immediately abut that area, that traffic no longer has, the road capacity has been reduced by half, which is what's creating the issue for us at this point. So these next few slides go over a little bit in more detail what each of those options are. The scope of work for the Northern Relief Route: construct a temporary roadway to Vista del Sol Drive. This would be paved with 2 inches of asphalt. So initially we had only proposed, the installation of base course material, which would leave an unfinished and rough driving surface, but we would propose installing 2 inches of asphalt. Additionally, we have ensured that this scope of work would also provide a dedicated right turn lane onto the Northern Relief Route. So you get that turning traffic out of the main lanes, thereby expediting and increasing traffic flow. And we would also provide a dedicated right turn lane north onto Sunfire, which is where the school site is. Currently, traffic has created their own right turn lane through the unimproved dirt shoulder, and that's created some unsafe driving conditions, and we've asked the Sheriff's Office deputies that are assigned to do traffic control in this area to strategically place their units in such a manner to prevent that, because recognizing that it is a public safety issue as it approaches a school, the last thing we want to do is provide not provide for a safe environment for children to be dropped off at school. The project timeline for this is anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. Upon start date, it requires 10 foot of access off of various parcels of land. I'm going to go back to this first exhibit. Everything to the right of that yellow line that describes option 1 those are 5-acre lots, parcels of land. Those 5-acre parcels have a 20-foot access easement that allows residents that have property to access legally their property within that section of land. So the county would automatically have access to pave 20 feet of those easements, of those access easements, and to make improvements on there. However, 20 feet is realistically, it's a challenge to put 2 lanes of traffic on 20 feet of roadway. So if we are able to secure the additional 10 feet from all the property owners in the area, which we've begun conversations with them about, knowing that this is an option that we want to move forward with and potentially move forward with rather quickly. We would then be able to install a wider roadway, a 30-foot roadway, which would allow for wider lanes that would also allow for a shoulder, thereby improving the road, making it a safer road to travel to and from both north and southbound. And we would introduce signage and temporary traffic control signals at that intersection to allow traffic to safely merge onto and turn onto Pelicano or turn off of Pelicano as well. This road is also temporary because there is a potential for the alignment to be redone once the county begins work on the Tierra del Este project. Those improvements would be removed and reconstructed as part of the other Tierra del Este project. Additionally, there's a subdivision that has been annexed into the city of El Paso that will begin construction soon. And the alignment of their road is slightly off of what we're proposing in this temporary fix. And so we would need to just ensure that we coordinate with that developer, and we've already begun that conversation as well, to accommodate this, to allow for this to stay in place for as long as possible. But the benefit here is that this option would remain in place not only throughout the next few months while we finish Mission Ridge Boulevard and we get out of the way with the water and wastewater lines, but it would also be in place throughout the entire duration of the Pelicano Drive improvements, which is, again, about anywhere from 13 to 18 months. Second option, relatively simple. We would take the completion date from July and move it to April. That would be working having crews work 6 days a week. Adding that additional workday over the next few months would shave off approximately 3 months' time of the completion date. It's a permanent county improvement, and it improves road network connectivity in the area. The last option is a reversible lane on Pelicano. Again, this would be to construct a lane that whose orientation could be changed throughout the day to accommodate traffic flows that are traveling mainly west in the morning and mainly east in the evening. Similar, includes 6 inches of base material, prime coat, and 2 inches of asphalt, so it would be a standard lane, and it would take approximately 30 days to complete this once we started. However, this would only be in place for a very short amount of time because the improvement would likely need to be removed during the Pelicano major reconstruction project. So this is a very, very short-term improvement that would provide relief for a few weeks at that, given that we were about to begin the project on the Pelicano Drive. So the cost of the options and the recommendations, option 1, which is again the northern relief route, is approximately $500,000. And again, these are all good faith estimates that have yet to be negotiated formally with the Camino Real RMA and their contractor. But we have had conversations with them about these options, and that's where these numbers are derived from. But again, they are still subject to change. Option 2, which is the expediting of the completion of Mission Ridge Boulevard, would cost approximately $400,000. And then option 3, which is the reversible lane, would cost approximately $345,000. The staff recommendation at this point is to initiate the contract amendment and negotiations with the RMA to implement option 2 as the first priority, which is the expediting of Mission Ridge Boulevard Phase 2, and option 1 being the second priority, which is to construct the northern relief route from Pelicano to Vista del Sol Drive. Those two options total $900,000, and that contract amendment would need to be made to the agreement in place currently with the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority. So with that, happy to answer any questions the court may have.
Commissioner Perez?
Well, I think the staff working so quickly to look at these relief routes and possible alternatives. And Judge and Commissioners, I mean, really the issue is that, the county has done a very good job with a lot of these projects that are going on, much of these part of our CMP. But we've significantly restricted access to I-10 and to 375. And really with East Lake under construction right now, and it's in its final few weeks of construction, with Pelicano to be under construction, really the only functioning road to get people from east to west is Paseo de Este. And now Paseo de Este is significantly backed up, and it's creating significant safety issues, not only on Paseo de Este, but as we've seen on Pelicano, we've had to get our sheriff's department involved. And when I was out there during rush hour before the Christmas break began, when school was still in session, I mean, I saw several circumstances where there were gaps in traffic, where cars were, speeding, as folks are getting to work. And I saw a sheriff deputy telling a car to, slow down, as they're passing. But that's really the issue here is the, the restriction of access to 375 and to I-10. I think that the options presented actually help us to take advantage of the infrastructure that we recently built. We recently completed, Vista del Sol, and so this access road from Pelicano would help connect to this brand-new county road that's 4 lanes and help people get onto 375 where there is currently a traffic signal. So I think that's a great option. The other option, too, when looking at the Mission Ridge, expediting that project, the fire station is set to come online, I believe, in February. And that's also something I think that when you look at these 2 projects, giving people both an option to the north and an option to the south, as our folks are working on Pelicano, I think is the best way to go. Otherwise, option 3, by creating these lanes, you're still going to keep a lot of traffic on Pelicano, and I think if we're going to have Pelicano done on time, I think that's something that we need to consider. I was hoping that that's something perhaps you can inform the court. I brought with them, and the judge is aware, every month at MPO we get project status updates, right? And Pelicano, we received, how much did we receive in federal funding?
$23 million.
So we're fortunate that we received that amount of funding. It did save the county a tremendous amount of funds. But one of the concerns from the MPO's perspective is that the Pelicano project has already gotten a high alert status. And I feel fully confident in our staff's ability and everybody's ability to get the project done on time. But MPO has already flagged this as one of 2 projects in the region that has a potential of not being complete on time, creating conformity issues. And that was presented to us at the November MPO meeting. And so I think that we have to do, we're being very ambitious when it comes to these projects, and unfortunately it's just due to the growth in this area. But I think we also have to give our staff the tools to complete these projects on a realistic time frame. You talked about the fact now that you're essentially going 4 stories underground when we're talking about the drainage and the piping issue that's there right now. But I think that these 2 options, I think, have to be considered if we're going to be realistic about giving Pelicano the best option of being complete on time. We've never had a project that has a conformity issue where it's not completed in the time frame, and I certainly don't want this to be one of the first ones. But I think these 2 relief routes will help to take advantage of existing infrastructure and help to divert traffic. If the court ultimately decides to go with these issues, there's 2 things that I would suggest. Is one, again, it's always, one challenge has been notice to drivers. I don't know if we're able to put up digital signage or something alerting to drivers, because some folks will just not change their habits. They'll stay in traffic. We need to either some digital flashing signs or something. Once, if a northern route is complete, tell folks this is now available. You can cut to Vista del Sol and get on 375 that way. If Mission Ridge is completed ahead of time, tell folks you can now go south to Paseo de Este and get 375 that way. But the issue with Paseo de Este is that if we're going to do that, something personally I was frustrated with is that over a year ago, we had conversations with TxDOT about having a dedicated turn lane to help folks get on to 375. One of the reasons why traffic is backed up so far on Paseo de Este is because they have to wait for a break in traffic to turn right to get onto the access road to Joe Battle. I hope that's something that we can work out with TxDOT to create that dedicated turn lane. I believe that they own the right-of-way. It's just, I don't know if it's just where they assign funding, but I would just ask that, if these 2 options are considered, and I think both should be implemented considering just the millions that we received in federal funding, that we look at that, is that alerting drivers and then also working with TxDOT to get a dedicated turn lane there But that is just, I just want the court to be aware and the public that, MPO has flagged us to, that this is a high alert status, that it's something that they're looking at. I feel confident. I'm not worried that the project, at least I'm not worried at this point that there's anything to be concerned about. But option 3, I think, puts us in sort of that, it doesn't make it any easier. It sort of puts us in a danger zone where we're complicating, I think, Pelicano a little bit more than necessary by adding those lanes. I don't know if you want to talk about the conformity issue because of the federal funding and the federal process associated with that. But
So the MPO develops traffic models that are based on every 10 years. And so we've completed the last decade, now we're in 2020. And so the model network year ends this year. What that effectively means is any project that was scheduled to be completed before 2020 or at the end of 2020 has to be completed because the model shows that it's completed. And the reason why the model is important is because it makes assumptions about air quality, about traffic patterns, about driver behavior. And if you exceed that, then it creates issues for the region, and the Federal Highway Administration could come and be involved and monitor the region. And that's the reason. That's the idea behind the conformity issue that the Commissioner Bettis described. What makes Pelicano Drive project different from East Lake, as an example, is that there's this large section of Pelicano that is just an unimproved shoulder at this time. So it's a greenfield site that the developer will be able to go in there and construct and not disturb traffic at all for anyone. Similar to, honestly, what's happening along Mission Ridge Boulevard. There's currently no traffic in that place because there's no road. It's a completely brand new road. So our contractor will be able to, we assume, go in there and meet a lot and expedite a lot of the original deadlines that we had set because of the fact that they have the ability to combine phases in this. And it's something that we will formally have conversations with the contractor on, but we feel very confident that we will have all 6 lanes of traffic open to the public by the end of 2020. We may still have ongoing improvements along the shoulders, like parkways, sidewalks, but what FHWA and the MPO are primarily concerned about are the traffic lanes. Do you have 6 lanes of traffic open to the public? And we feel very confident that we will meet that deadline. But any unnecessary complications may start to hinder that. And issues like the reversible lane then that's the reason why we state that it would only be in place for a short amount of time, because the contractor's schedule would be significantly slowed down if they had to accommodate for that existing lane and leaving it in place. So the reason why we're not recommending that is because of that, and because of the unknown effect that may have on the environmental document that has already been approved by the Federal Highway Administration, the Environmental Protection Agency, and all the federal and state consultative partners. We don't want to jeopardize altering the project to a point where they say the environmental document is no longer clear as well. So that's the reason why options 1 and 2 are most attractive for the court to consider.
Commissioner Roberts. Couple questions. You talk about the temporary lanes that you're going to establish. In regards to the easement, is that land outside the easement is land is available to put the temporary lanes in? Or we won't have to acquire any land?
No, we would not acquire any land. It would just be an easement to allow for the temporary installation of these lanes, of this traffic. Knowing that in the future, when we do have a project set in the future to completely construct a new road from Pelicano up to Cozy Cove, which is just, which is in the Tierra del Este area off of Zaragoza. That project is in the MPO planning documents. At that point, we would need to acquire the road. We would need to acquire the land. But because this is just a temporary road, we can make use of the existing 20-foot access easement and then acquire an additional 10 feet of access easement from the property owners in the area who at this point have at least expressed an openness to allow us to do so. That is not, if the court gives us direction to move forward on implementing these, we would need to formally work with them and gain their concurrence, gain their approval. But at this point, we feel that we should be able to acquire that additional 10 feet, but we would not acquire access to, but not actually bring the property into the county's inventory. So it would not be a county-owned property, it would just be a temporary easement for the construction of these lanes.
At no cost?
At no cost, right?
Okay.
So where would the funding come from for those two options on creating those two?
So we currently do not have any funding identified. We do have a contingency account that we are able to pay for additional sheriff's office on the Mission Ridge Boulevard project. But any further funding to fund the $900,000 for options 1 and 2, or even the $500,000 for option 1, we currently do not have that in the budgets, in the project's budget. When we evaluate traffic control, these were some of the options that we had initially discussed but thought were too costly to include. And so as such, we would ask the court to identify where the funding may come from for that.
We would actually need to identify for the court where that funding could come from, would be the best approach. So if we know which options the court is interested in, we would go work to find where would be the best source for that funding.
Judge, again, I would recommend option 1 and 2, again, just because from a network perspective, it distributes traffic more evenly, both north and south. Again, with the caveat that we really need to work with TxDOT to get that dedicated turn lane, because it's only going to work if Paso de Este traffic can move smoothly. But look, in the grand scheme of things, look, we're talking about almost $140 million worth of road projects that have been ongoing in this area. $900,000 of temporary relief to alleviate some serious traffic congestion, I think, is minimal in the grand scheme of things. But that would be my preferred option, would be 1 and 2.
What? Can I ask a question? Sure. I'm kind of confused as to how we got to this point. We didn't. I mean, with the planning of of so much construction. I mean, how do we even get to where we're going to have to spend? I mean, I understand that $1 million is a drop in the bucket in comparison to $140 million that we're spending, but it's $1 million that that could be used for many other things. And I just am, I mean, I'm confused as to how we even got to this point in the planning process where we didn't foresee something like this in the beginning, from the beginning.
We typically do anticipate there to be congestion. We anticipate the angry phone calls from residents as they have their morning commute or afternoon commute disrupted because of our construction activity. In fact, we've experienced similar traffic disruptions along East Lake, along Rojas in the past, which are in the same area here. In fact, the traffic that was for the first few days along the East Lake, we've done something similar at the intersection of East Lake from I-10 to Rojas, where we've narrowed it down to 1 lane in each direction. And when I went out there to check it out, it was Halloween, and that was probably the worst traffic that I've ever been in, including traffic from out of town when I've been stuck on I-35 in Austin, because you had regular traffic trying to get home, and you also had commuters coming in to trick-or-treat the East Lake area, and it was a complete mess. There was just so much traffic out there, and that was the second or third day. We did notice, we continued to monitor that traffic, and after 4 or 5 days, traffic began to disperse onto other alternate routes. So it does take some time for people to become adjusted to it, but in terms of from a planning perspective, there's little that we could have done to avoid a lot of this traffic, in the sense that there are not other options for traffic. There are not a lot of serious options for traffic to get onto if there's an incident or a road closure. In terms of downtown, if San Antonio Street was closed, we have numerous options to get to and from where we're going. And that's true of most urban areas where you have streets that are on a grid pattern. But once you start getting out into the suburbs, into sprawl, you then begin to see larger roads, and every car has to effectively use one of those larger roads to get where they're going. And that's the type of development that we see in the East El Paso Mission Ridge area. And so in that sense, the options aren't there, and that's what we're actually trying to construct, to alleviate, to provide for in the future. But this is just an unfortunate and significant growing pain for the residents in the area.
I mean, I understand that, but Commissioner Perez was talking about, you know, with all the construction projects that we're doing, we're restricting a lot of access to 375 and I-10. I mean, was that planning process done through the MPO, or was that the county's planning process? Or, I mean, because, like you say, there are only a few roadways that you can get from point A to point B. I don't know. I guess I'm still kind of confused as to why are we doing all the projects at the same time? If that's what I mean, is that what the problem is? We're doing all the projects at the same time, and that's why we're having these issues. We're restricting the access. I mean, could it have been planned better to stagger the projects or done one? I don't know. I mean, it hurts. I mean, I don't really want to spend $1 million to, you know, to deal with this problem in the first place, just because I mean, I feel like you said, it's part of the growing pains of if you live in this part of the county, you have to understand that it's not developed, and it's just kit and caboodle with moving out to that part of the county, right? But you know, I mean, so if this was foreseeable, if we knew that there was going to be congestion, then why didn't we set aside the money from the beginning instead of coming in the middle of the budget and you know, the middle of the fiscal year and having to find, you know, scratch for the money, you know? I mean, that's
so the ESIC project is scheduled to have lanes open. It won't be complete until May, but there should be all 6 lanes open with daily road closures on the shoulders sometime in March, right? And that's obviously subject to change if there's some unforeseeable event that we cannot account for today. However, the Mission Ridge Boulevard project we initially had, we will not, like in terms of planning and how we coordinate the projects, that project, once it's complete, we will then begin the project on Darrington, which is an upcoming project. Darrington design has been ready for a few years, but we've not moved on it because we do not want to create more headaches. So we do take that into account. What's happened along Pelicano, and the reason why the water and wastewater improvements were taken out of the Pelicano project and put into the Mission Ridge project are to ensure that we meet our obligations for the economic development agreement of the property on 375 and Pelicano. Initially, the phasing for that project started on the Darrington side, and that was going to be the last phase that was going to be completed. So we would have not had the similar disruption. And as you recall, I mentioned that on the eastern side of Pelicano, to the north where that Job quarry is located, that's all unimproved shoulder. So the first phase of the project would have been constructing on an area that would have had no traffic disruption to the public. But because of the strategic decision by the court to say, let's partner with this property owner and see what can be done, our phasing had to be adjusted to accommodate that. And that phasing this is the result of that adjustment in phasing. And it's a little bit it was a challenge to do that as part of the Pelicano project, which is why we decided to pull that scope of work out and add it to the Mission Ridge project, just to ensure that we met our obligations.
Commissioner Robinson.
David, you took the words out of my mouth.
Sorry.
I'm confused as well. Let me start by saying this. You plan to fail, or you fail to plan. And what I mean by that is, the question is, who are the parties involved in this process as far as the big scheme of the project itself, as far as what we're doing as the county, as well as the other, what was it, $140 million project? So who's all involved in that? What entities?
The 140 million, I believe, was a reference by Commissioner Pettis to the entire sum of projects that we've done over the past few years. And that includes partnerships with TxDOT, partnerships with the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority, the town of Horizon City, the city of Socorro, and then obviously the county.
Okay, so I'm speaking as far as the concept or general concept of the project, as far as the area. So you got TxDOT, RMA, who else?
Horizon,
Horizon,
Socorro.
Socorro?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So during my time in the military, went on a lot of missions, and we always have contingencies. You have a plan A and a plan B. If plan A don't work, or if you run into obstacles on plan A, you have alternative routes, you know, so you don't box yourself into an area where you destroy your mission and you lose your personnel. So we have the alternative routes, alternative plans. So I would like to think that in doing that, would not RMA, TxDOT, and all the entities talk to each other at the same time, be on the same page?
No, and we regularly have meetings where we are discussing the projects, and then we have the added benefit of having staff at the RMA that on their general engineering consulting team that are retirees from TxDOT that bring with them years of experience of traffic control and project management. And so our team is very robust and able to think of the contingencies. And so but I also recognize that field conditions, the contingencies in a conference room, in a boardroom, you can think of everything, and then you get out into the field and then you see something that you just didn't expect. We saw that with Rojas, the Rojas drive improvements as an example. But we do coordinate and have numerous meetings to discuss the projects. And as part of those conversations, because we knew of the restrictions that we were going to have along East Lake, some of those conversations, as we were getting ready to begin Pelicano, involved the phasing of the projects and which end we would begin on Pelicano, which would be most challenging. And then the Mission Ridge Boulevard improvements were in partnership with the local developer who actually donated the right-of-way and then also donated the design for that project. And so in that sense, we were on the developer's timeline. We could have developed it ourselves, we could have designed it ourselves, acquired the right-of-way through a purchase, but because the developer was agreeing to donate this both, we decided to coordinate with them and work with them. And so that project did begin slightly later than we would have liked to seen, but as a result, we have not begun construction on Darrington because we recognize that there is a need for a north-south route to exist in its entirety prior to beginning work on Darrington, as an example.
When did this process start?
We have been engaged in these long-range transportation projects since approximately 2013. The court raised the fee in 2013. A year later, funding obligations were adjusted to account for some changes in Attorney General's opinions in terms of debt obligations that the county could and could not incur. And project design really was underway in 2014, 2015. So we've been at this for now, I would say, close to about 5-6 years.
Okay, this aspect of the project, seen or unforeseen, did we discuss this during the budget cycle?
During the budget
Yes.
session? No. We had a conversation internally about what other options existed for Pelicano for traffic control. Once the design consultant that we acquired, and then also the RMA's engineering consultant had looked at it, and we talked about alternate routes. There was a proposal from a local business agency to provide material to provide a north route through one of the other roads that just really doesn't connect to anything. And so there's been a number of options that have been evaluated, and for reasons, the primary reasons why these were not included in the project is just simply because of the cost. Because almost approximately $1 million traffic relief route we didn't feel was defensible in terms of with the initial project. But if the court deems that it's, now that we've seen what the traffic conditions are out there, and it seems and deems it's necessary, it's definitely an option that we can include and that we can begin.
Well, I recognize, that traffic in that area is a major problem. I have friends and relatives that live in that area. Traffic congestion is a major problem and needs to be dealt with. But by the same token, oftentimes I hear that we say, we want to make sure we got it in the budget. We're going to do it in the budget. I recall during some of the discussions that had transpired before I got here in regards to an area out in the west side of the county where we got a major problem with potential flooding, where houses get flooded out, their property get flooded out. A major problem. But we chose not to go in that direction as far as funding. But here today, we're talking about $1 million as opposed to a commitment for $500,000. We know that's a problem, and that it's documented that it is a problem and needs to be dealt with. But just to say that I'm not saying you, I'm just thinking as far as the issue itself, in regards to $1 million, when we have multiple agencies at the same table at the same time, as far as planning, to look at, well, we have a plan A and a plan B. But my words is you plan to fail or you fail to plan. So somewhere along the line, someone beyond the county didn't do a very good job as far as their planning to make sure that we have alternatives to the project or the traffic and traffic congestion.
And I think the commissioners raise valid points when it comes to, contingency planning. And again, I think it's, this level of construction that's being undertaken by the county is unprecedented. But I think really where that I don't know if it's the court or if it was the department or probably both, is that when we made the decision to engage in the economic development deal that we did, and to change the phases of the project, I know speaking for myself, I just thought, well, just if we start on this other side, it's not going to have much of an issue.
There's no indication that this was going to come
right
from that.
There was nothing, and I think that's probably at that point when we made the decision. There is a reason why Pelicano construction was going to start on the right side, and it was precisely to avoid this type of congestion all at once. Because had it happened on this side, Mission Ridge would have been completed on time. There would have been at least that south connector. There would have at least been another option. Whether or not there would have been the northern option, but I think at that point when we didn't really fully consider what the impact was. And I just, again, when we were looking at that economic development project, I just thought, well, it's not a big deal. We just want to get this side done first. But from an engineering and from a planning standpoint, there's reasonings why they did that. So there were consequences to our decision from an economic, we chose to make that decision, and we're free to. And I think that it's we need to be creative in the economic development tools that we use. And I think when it comes to infrastructure and building out infrastructure for these types of projects, it makes sense. But I think that's, at least I know that when I voted for that decision, I didn't take into consideration the fact of the disruption that it would cause in light of the fact that it doesn't really fit in nicely with the other timetables. It would have if we would have started Pelicano on the right side. We would have enabled East Lake to be finished. We would have enabled Mission Ridge to be finished. But there were consequences to that decision, and I think that's like you said, it's fine, we're aware of it now. There's options, but I think that's something that we should have probably had further discussion about when we decided to enter into that 381 there at the intersection of 375 and Pelicano.
Judge, Commissioners, if I might add, initially it was a construction of just the road. Then we decided to flip the road, and then we partnered with the PSB so that they would bring in the sewer and the water. That way, they wouldn't have to disrupt the road once it was constructed. So there's multiple things that have changed since the initial recommendation of this project. So.
Well, we've seen that partnership with PSB on other projects. The Gregg and Edgemere project that was recently completed this time last year, celebrated its ribbon cutting. We partnered with the PSB, but we saw a significant delay because PSB had to identify the funding, go out for design. But the benefit is that we do not have our project, our recently completed road cut by El Paso Water at a later time wanting to enter the roadway to install their improvements. And so after the decision was made to move forward with the economic development agreement, as Mrs. Palacios just mentioned, there was some additional changes that came on that were all intended to ensure that we met our obligations in the agreement that the court entered into with the landowner, but also, as Commissioner Bettis alluded to, meet our timetable for completing this project by December of this year. So we are, and then unfortunately Pelicano, had we had the opportunity or the ability to shift its time, we would have, but federal transportation dollars are tied to specific fiscal years, and you have to obligate those dollars in that specific fiscal year, otherwise the dollars could be lost. And so that was the timetable that we were also working, that we were really caught between a rock and a hard place. Is, do you want the 23 million? And yes, we don't want the county to have to spend $23 million. It doesn't have to if there's federal funds available, but it does come with some complications associated with it.
How long is the construction on Pelicano supposed to, that's causing the issue? How long is it slated to, this phase slated to take?
So the water line installation will be complete in April, but by that point, our contractor will begin the work for Pelicano and will be in that same intersection as well. So the water and wastewater installation will be done, and that's the trenching work that's being done right now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be out of there by April, but to say that project will be there'll be relief to residents in the area shortly after that would be misleading, because the contractor for Pelicano will be coming right behind them to begin work on actually constructing the road, shoulders, sidewalks, median, and all those improvements associated with the second project, which is the Pelicano Drive improvements.
Well, I think we have to take into consideration that, you have a horrible situation there. So we can't step away from it and say, well, we're not willing to address it. And then secondly, I'm not as confused by, if you knew at that point that these things were going to happen, but there were certain decisions, especially the economic development one, which I think was the major one, that made it more complex. So I'm more of an understanding that you're at a point now that you understand things a lot better than you did at the planning. So I don't see it as fair to say at the planning point, we should have done all these other things. We didn't know about the economic development initiative. We didn't know about some of the other things that happened. So I think we need to address the real issue is we have a huge problem. And I mean, it's horrible. And the pressure we all get from comments and people calling us, and it's there. And so I think we need to look at, did we do the right thing or not the right thing? Well, what's the issue right now, and what can we do about it?
Well, Judge, I'm not speaking as far as our staff, as far as what they did or did not do. I'm speaking more so in the general scheme of looking at the big picture. When you have, our project is a small project in comparison to the other things that the RMA and the MPO is doing. That's what I'm more so speaking to there too. We there have been multiple projects that have been taking a long time to get done and cause some traffic congestion. I'll give you a good example, which is not totally complete yet, but some of the backup of traffic has been relieved with completing a part of it, and that's US 54 between Hondo Pass and 375. We have lived with that for 18 months, where you have one lane of traffic going both ways. And when you got a multitude of traffic, you look at the number of cars that go through that corridor on a daily basis. And those are not newly established residential areas. There are already residential areas established. But it's corridor between where they added another lane to relieve the congestion, because from 375, Loop 375 to Hondo Pass, it narrowed down to one lane, both going north and south. 18 months. So how long you say that before completion of this project?
The Pelicano project, which is going to be the major disruption.
Has to be done by the end of the year.
Has to be done. The lanes have to be open by the end of this year. So 12, 13 months. But the remainder of the time will also be, the time that exceeds that is going to be spent constructing the shoulders, the sidewalks, the parkways, the landscaping of the median, any landscaping along the parkways as well. So that will take some time shortly after that, but we do anticipate having all 6 lanes open to traffic by the end of this calendar year.
How long are people waiting? I mean, what's the?
So, Jose, if I can speak to that too. So Norma and I drove out there right before the holiday break, and to travel from Loop 375 past down to Darrington and then turn around and come back. Especially right there by the school, about 15 minutes each way to go down there. And then also what you have is you have people jumping off the road and driving up on the site out in the desert. You have people down by the end of, beyond where Job is, but down there at the very end, cutting across the desert, going straight basically at Darrington, to what will be the John Hayes extension in the future, correct? You have, there is a stoplight at, is it Mission Ridge or what's the one?
Mission Ridge and Sunfire, they're 2 traffic control signals.
Sunfire, yeah.
Where the school is?
The light turns over and there's so much traffic in the intersection that the other direction can't go. It's total gridlock. And
So I'm sorry, Betsy, you said it was 15 minutes from 375 to where?
to basically to where
To Berryville? What is it?
Sunfire, where the school is.
Oh, to where the John Drugan Elementary School is?
That's Sunfire. And then
it was complete standstill. We even drove up to see if we could find relief. We drove around to see if, like, there by the school, to see if there was a quick relief there, and obviously there's not.
Which one on the map, which one's Darrington?
Darrington is the
Far right.
far right, where
It's labeled Berryville.
labeled
Okay, Berryville, okay.
Right, so that intersection, there's, the map is a little bit misleading because it's a Google map image that shows a gray
So the construction right now on Pelicano is from 375 to Darrington?
Yes.
But the worst area is right there by the school.
By the school.
It's getting off of Loop 375 and even getting back it's really unacceptable.
And if it wasn't for the SOs, it'd be even worse, because you have all the parents that are dropping off their kids that are there at school, then waiting to come on to Pelicano, which Pelicano then at that point also still looks like a parking lot. It's just creating a terrible situation. So if it wasn't for the SOs that were there stopping traffic to allow the folks from the school to get out,
And when we were there, I kept wondering, because it didn't seem like there were that's that Joe plant that's out there. We didn't see trucks like going in and out at the moment. And I thought, I can't imagine when you add that to the mix, how bad it could get. It was bad as it was. And I tried thinking, well, I'll just go down Mission Ridge. But Mission Ridge dead ends
Right.
because you can't get all the way down to Paseo del Este because that project's not complete yet. I have some pictures of the intersection that we set through. Well, we tried for it to clear.
And it wouldn't be cheaper to put like some type of stoplight or something like that in on that intersection at Sunfire?
It is a stoplight.
There is a stoplight there?
Oh, yeah,
There.
and the SOs are there providing traffic control and also controlling the green manually. Similar to when there's shutdowns of I-10 through downtown and all the traffic has to exit onto Missouri. You'll always notice a PD unit there next to the box, and all they're doing is holding the button to allow the traffic to allow the light to stay green.
But what would happen is people had been backed up. It's even with the lights, people had been backed up so long, they would keep going through the light and then they'd be blocking the intersection. And then your light would cycle through and they couldn't move because of the traffic congestion
That happens
up the
that happens
road.
all the time on Paisano and the bridge going south. I mean,
Every day.
Right,
for
right,
years, it's been happening like that.
right.
And we did evaluate
But
the
the
county.
challenges, I just want to point out, but the challenge is that now we've got to construct Pelicano under these circumstances. And here we are with the federal timeline that it has to be done by, and that's what I'm just saying is that I don't think we're creating the ideal circumstances to provide, the folks and construction workers with, because it's going to have to be executed flawlessly with no problems if we're going to meet the federal timeline with this traffic, so. Okay, sorry.
I was just going to add that we did evaluate, a few weeks ago, Mr. Alonso, Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Palacios, and I sat down and looked at what the options were going to be here. We did evaluate the 75 acres that the county owns that immediately abuts Joe Battle, but we thought it was not a great idea to introduce a significant amount of traffic into a neighborhood and then ask that traffic to exit through a temporary road that we would construct through the 75 acres. We also looked at possibly paving Darrington North, which is going to be the John Hayes extension, but to provide any legitimate connectivity, it would be about 2 miles worth of pavement work that would either, at the minimum, go from Berryville to Vista del Sol or all the way up to Mount Wood, which is the John Hayes alignment itself. There's a number of gas easements that are unpaved, but very drivable throughout this area. But because there are gas easements, we're not allowed to construct anything on top of those easements, so we can't ask for permission from any of the gas companies to use those. So realistically, these three options a few weeks ago were the most realistic that we thought could lead to some relief. After vetting them further, we found that only two of them are realistic, and those are options 1 and 2. And then in terms of prioritization, option 2 would be at the top because option 2 is a permanent improvement that the county will continue to own and maintain even after everything is said and done with Pelicano. Option 1 will provide some relief during Pelicano, during the ongoing improvements now. It's a short turnaround, but at some point it will likely need to be removed and make way for the new alignment of that the subdivision is proposing that is going in this area, as well as the new alignment of Tierra del Este, which is an MPO project that the county has identified in the next 5 years as well.
Well, Judge, fundamentally, I'm not opposed to what needs to be done, but by the same token, as far as where the money's going to come from is an issue. And it kind of bothers me, the fact that on some projects, we can find the money, and other projects, we don't have the money. What I would suggest, I don't know where this is going to go today, but what I would suggest is that we do a review of other projects that we have in the mix. to see, make sure that we don't have the same conflict that we're having today?
And one of the major upcoming projects that we have are on Darrington. And so what we've done is put a hold on Darrington until we complete this. We were not expecting to begin Darrington until, at the minimum, late fall of this year, to ensure that we were out of the way and that folks had a north-south route, and that would be Mission Ridge. The other benefit of Berryville, similar to Pelicano, is that for a large stretch, the lanes are located on one side of the right-of-way, which means that the contractor can put up a fence and begin work on one side of the right-of-way without ever disrupting traffic, and then switch traffic onto that side, reconstruct the old lanes, and there's very minimal disruption. It's not like Eastlake, where you have 4 lanes running right down the middle, and so you effectively have to shut down one side of the road to make any improvements. So the disruption along Berryville won't be too significant, but we have at least put that on hold to ensure that we don't create any additional headaches. So we do coordinate the start and stop times of these projects, and we do like to have warm handoffs between one and the other, just to ensure that we're not creating any unnecessary headaches for residents. But like I've said, we have all received phone calls in Public Works from them, from residents, some more understanding than others. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think they're very appreciative of the fact that the county is making these investments. Even if they don't like the traffic that they're in, I think they are appreciative of the improvements because they recognize they're long overdue. But they feel that the traffic can be problematic. And we see a similar 15, 20-minute wait time from Rojas to I-10, maybe even a little bit less. And that's coming up Eastlake from I-10. But and that's what we see now. But the first few days, traffic was along the gateway, trying to make left turns onto Eastlake, and so it was very, very bad. And that's typical once you see a major traffic switch within the first couple of weeks. People tend to get used to it. People adjust their leave times. People adjust the route decisions they make. But in this circumstance, there's only a few options that people can take.
Commissioner Perez.
I don't know if we're allowed, I think, did we already sign the contract for the 381? So is that public? I don't know what the status is of that.
The 381?
Yeah. I thought we did. Now.
Let me double check.
Well, okay, so I guess speaking this in general terms, one of the things that we were considering is that, and I don't think it ever happened for whatever reason, but was using at least a percentage of the Economic Development Fund to help fund the infrastructure for this. Again, and then that was the whole point of the Economic Development Fund, was to explore other tools that we typically haven't had before, aside from just property tax abatements. So I don't know if that was ever done, and I don't know if that should something be discussed in executive. But the point is just that that's something that should be looked at if it hasn't for this, because essentially, again, it was a decision made by the court to make that adjustment, which I think is contributing to part of
potentially identify that as a funding source?
At least for
some
at least for a percentage of it, because it's not, again, this is an infrastructure project, but the decision was made to have that part of Pelicano complete, so then that way when all the amenity comes in, the Alamo Draft House and other amenities, that there was an entry point to those facilities. That's what I'm saying, is that we don't, the county's done a very good job of executing projects, right? And we don't want to create a situation where, we have these new businesses opening that don't have access, and we made that decision to start on that side of Pelicano for that purpose. So, whether it be 25% of the 900,000 or something like that, I do think that having part of it come from the Economic Development Fund is certainly justified and appropriate, considering that it was an economic development incentive project.
I'm kind of wary of doing that because, we're basically using it to fix a mistake. I don't want to use $1 million of our Economic Development Impact Fund to fix a mistake. We weren't, I mean, for whatever reason, I don't know how it wasn't taken into account or how it wasn't considered, you know, when we were talking about the 381 agreement. It's- I'm not really in favor of trying to take it from the Economic Development Impact Fund.
I'm not saying all 1 million, I'm saying whatever portion, I mean, there should be a portion of it, because that was part of our sort of our end of the deal, was that we said that we were going to.
Yeah, but we may have not even made the deal if we would have known that this was gonna happen. I mean, I mean, I can't speak for you all, but I mean, you know, if it was gonna cost us an extra, if we would have known it was gonna cost us an extra $1 million.
We were told, I mean, traffic conditions aside, we were told that it was going to add to the cost of the project because the developer, rather than just having all of his equipment and starting from the east and moving west, we were told that there was going to be increased costs associated with that.
Court would like to table this until the end of the meeting. We can come back and allow us a chance to discuss some of the financing options. That way, and I only say this so that the court can make as informed a decision as possible. Again, we were working on this over the break throughout up until this morning, and so there's some options that may be available that I'd like to make sure that we evaluate before we present to the court. So if the court would consider tabling this, allow us to look at what those options may be, and then we can bring it back at the end of the meeting.
I mean, I think first, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I like that, but not for today, because if it gives us the opportunity to have all of us, you know, I think it much more advantageous to have a full commissioners court. And I'm sure, you know, Commissioner Leon would be very interested in some of the impact, and then, so give us an opportunity to look at it further, but then the possibility of having a full court. I just see it very critical not to have one of the commissioners
Directly impacted.
So what we can do is we can work on we can work with budget and county administration to determine where the funding may be available, and then present options for the court to consider, and we can bring that back next Monday for the court's consideration.
I would like that.
I was going to say the same.
How about sort of look at it a little further?
Because
it's critical. I mean,
yeah, it's unfortunate the delay. I mean, because I think it's because people are, it's a safety issue right now. Again, I mean, keep in mind, the SOs are out there on traffic right now. There's a fire station that's going to be complete in February that isn't going to have access to Mission Ridge, north and south. I mean, but so every week is critical. But if there's not the willingness to proceed with the 900,000 now, then I agree with the judge. Then we should just wait until we have a full court, and then that'll give you all time to.
Where's the fire station?
Right at the bend of that, where that box that says option 2 expedite Mission Ridge Boulevard, just south of that.
There's no north and south connection for the fire. The whole point is that right now the fire trucks have to come all the way from Horizon, go to Paseo de Este, catch Loop 375, go up north, and then make a right to address any of those homes there in Borges Paseo del Sol. You have a 14-minute response time in an urbanized area. But I mean, if the court wants to wait another week and give staff additional options to identify more fully the 900,000, that's fine.
Robinson, Stout, what do you?
I mean, I'd like to have a little more time. Yeah. To tell you the truth.
We'll work on providing that information as soon as possible so the court has that, and then we'll make ourselves available for any meetings that the court may want to have in terms of discussing some of the options or any other logistics surrounding the projects or the proposed options as well.
Thank you, Jose.
So, should we move to delete or we don't?
Just no action, we'll put it back on for
Okay.
next Monday,
Okay.
the 13th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Very comprehensive, thank you.
No action for item number 8. Item number 9, approve and authorize the county judge to sign the subscription agreement between El Paso County and Dude Solutions, Inc. in the amount of $340,306.93 for the asset management software as awarded on December 2nd, 2019. Funding is available in CIP 19 Facilities IT Software, contract number 2019-0965.
Good morning, Judge, County Commissioners, and Happy New Year.
Morning.
Robin Sully, Facility Maintenance. This asset management software will provide us a complete comprehensive building assessment of our major county facilities. It also enable us to have a complete condition report of essential building equipment and better plan for the future. It also allow us to create a preventive maintenance schedule and also be able to have more accurate and reliable data for forecasting and capital replacement requests. Up to your questions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Bettis?
Aye.
Commissioner Stout?
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson?
Aye.
Judge Samaniego?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 10, grant applications. Approve the submission of county grant applications as listed and described. If awarded, all grant award agreements will be brought back to the Commissioners Court for final acceptance and approval. Approve and authorize the District Attorney's Office to apply for the Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Division grant for the El Paso County's Domestic Violence Unit for fiscal year 2021 in the amount of $192,948 with a county match of $188,948 for a project total of $381,896 for the period September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2021. For this item, we are requesting for the item to be postponed for 1 week.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Bettis?
Aye.
Commissioner Stout?
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson?
Aye.
Judge Samaniego?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 11, receive a presentation from the Public Works Parks and Recreation Department on a grant opportunity from Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, Recreation Trails Grant, off-highway vehicle. Additionally, authorize the Public Works Parks and Recreation Department to apply for the TPWD Recreation Trails Grant, off-highway vehicle in the amount of $400,000 and authorize the allocation of funds in the amount of $100,000 for FY 2021 for the required match.
Good morning and Happy New Year. Veronica Myers, Parks and
Likewise.
Recreation Director. We would like to apply for a grant, for the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department grant, under the Recreation Trails Grant for off-highway vehicle trails. In 2018, the county approved the county regional park plan, which included Phase 1 of San Felipe Park. We submitted a grant for that in February of 2019 for the max amount of $400,000 to develop San Felipe Park as an official off-highway vehicle park. We were awarded the grant May of 2019, and we're currently pending the contract for that grant. That grant for Phase 1 includes 10 new miles of 5-foot wide off-highway vehicle trails, a 1/4 mile for youth riders trail, a new ADA compliant restrooms and picnic shelters, signage and fencing at San Felipe Park. This is in such high demand that the public that uses off-highway vehicles called us to let us know we had received the grant before Texas Parks and Wildlife had reached out to us. They're very excited and looking forward to it. We would like to apply for a second phase to acquire land south of San Felipe Park to increase the trails, add a new trailhead and walking trail at Escarate Park, and renovate the existing walking trail that is around the lake. The proposed Phase 2 for the off-highway vehicle trails at San Felipe Park will be acquiring the additional properties, which will give us approximately 62 more acres for that park. Fencing, signage, and additional trails, different types of trails in that park. And currently, the existing trails, the existing property that is south of San Felipe Park is being used for off-highway vehicle as well. And there's also a road that leads into San Felipe Park that has been being used as an entrance to the park as well, on the very first property that's right south of that park. And the terrain itself that is there lends itself for different types of riding as well. When you go to an off-highway vehicle park, it is nice to have different types of trails and designate it to make it safer. So you could have like the motorbikes, you can have the ATVs, and then you can have the 4x4s as well. So that's what we would like to do that. And then also, in addition to that, that helps us to reduce the amount of illegal activity that happens out there, to include illegal shooting, dumping, drinking, and dangerous riding that happens currently at that site. We would like to add a new 1.38-mile trail connecting to the existing trail around the lake at Escarate Park, and add a trailhead to it. And so we hope that this increases our special events, and it also makes it safer for the users that are currently using the existing roadway for that purpose. We would like to renovate the existing 1.5-mile trail around the lake, which hasn't been done in like 10 years. So we would like to renovate the existing trail. Again, we would like to, that would help us reduce our maintenance costs and, again, increase our special events at the park. The program provides 80% matching grants on a reimbursement basis up to $400,000. That's what we were awarded last time. We hope to be awarded the same amount. So Texas Parks and Wildlife would give us $400,000. The county's match, just to clarify, our minimum required match is $100,000. We would like $100,000 match for the minimum requirement, but we would also like an additional $100,000 to include all the projects, to include the renovation at the trailhead to Escarate Park. These are the current projects and our park projects timeline that we have. So we have a lot of projects, and that's why when we started to consider whether we can do in-kind or not, for the amount of money that we're getting, we're recommending that it be a cash match. And I'd like to request that we be approved to apply for additional funding for this grant.
Move to approve. Thank you for your work on this.
Second. Excellent.
Aye.
Commissioner Stout?
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson?
Aye.
Judge Samaniego?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 12, Budget and Finance. Approve Amendment Number 12 to the County of El Paso's 2019 through 2020 operating budget. This budgetary amendment will increase grants by $5,157, thus increasing the overall budget of $473,572,470.18 to $473,577,627.18.
Good afternoon, Judge and Commissioners. Wally Hargrove from the Office of Budget and Fiscal Policy. The backup for this week's amendment was sent to you with your weekly highlights. Were there any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Perez?
Aye.
Commissioner Stout?
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson?
Aye.
Judge Samaniego?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
This now brings us to item number 13, executive session. Commissioners Court will recess into executive session to discuss items 13A through 13C pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071 and 551.072. Commissioners Court will reconvene to take official action.
all county offices will be closed on Monday, January 20th in observance of the Martin Luther King holiday. All county offices will reopen on Tuesday, January 21st, 2020.
The County of El Paso Public Works Department is offering sandbags at no cost or requirements to the public. The sandbags are outside of the facilities and are available 24 hours a day. The location of the county facilities are the following: the Road and Bridge Fabens Warehouse, located at 1331 North Fabens Street in Fabens, Texas, 79838. The Road and Bridge Canutillo Warehouse, located at 191 Canutillo Avenue in Canutillo, Texas, 79835. And the Road and Bridge Montana Warehouse, located at 14698 Van Lane, El Paso, Texas, 79938.
Don't wait in line, pay online. Visit the Financial Recovery Division website at http://www.epcounty.com/budget/financialrecovery.htm to make your payments online or find out more about our kiosk locations. We now accept payments on misdemeanor, felony, and justice of the peace cases.
You can now watch Commissioners Court meetings on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and search for El Paso County Commissioners or El Paso County, Texas. Subscribe to our channels to see our latest videos.
Did you know the County of El Paso's Purchasing Department is responsible for ensuring that all items and services needed by various county departments are purchased in the manner required by the state of Texas? Whether through formal sealed bids or smaller dollar quotations, the county purchasing team is dedicated to finding the best contracting return on your taxpayer dollars. Additionally, the purchasing department is responsible for the tracking of inventory within the county and properly disposing surplus through public auctions. For questions about how to become a vendor and compete for county contracts, or to learn more about public auctions, please contact us at telephone number 915-546-2048.
The 346th District Court Judge Angie Juarez Barrid started the El Paso Veterans Treatment Court program in 2012 for veterans and active service members that have been arrested and charged with a felony or misdemeanor criminal offense. To be considered for the specialty court, the statutory criteria includes be a veteran or current member of the United States Armed Forces, including a member of the Reserves, National Guard, or State Guard, and suffer from a brain injury, mental illness, or mental disorder, including PTSD, or be a victim of military sexual trauma, all occurring or resulting from military service. Call Sylvia Serna, Veterans Program Director, at 915-546-2119, or email her at sserna@epcounty.com for any information.
Did you know that the County of El Paso's fixed asset control and inventory disposal is handled through the Purchasing Department? Throughout the course of each business year, the county holds live public auctions to dispose of aged equipment, vehicles, furniture, and other items that are no longer needed. To find out about upcoming auctions or to learn more about the county's inventory disposal process, contact the Purchasing Department at telephone number 915-546-2048. all county offices will be closed on Monday, January 20th, in observance of the Martin Luther King holiday. All county offices will reopen on Tuesday, January 21st, 2020.
The County of El Paso Public Works Department is offering sandbags at no cost or requirements to the public. The sandbags are outside of the facilities and are available 24 hours a day. The location of the county facilities are the following: the Road and Bridge Fabens Warehouse, located at 1331 North Fabens Street in Fabens, Texas, 79838. The Road and Bridge Canutillo Warehouse, located at 191 Canutillo Avenue in Canutillo, Texas, 79835. And the Road and Bridge Montana Warehouse, located at 14698 Van Lane.
Commissioners Court has reconvened into regular session. Item number 14, discuss and take appropriate action in pending matters related to El Paso County's intervention in the sale of El Paso Electric, County Attorney's File number 020619AA. No action for item number 14. This completes all the items on today's agenda, Judge.
Meeting adjourned.
This completes today's meeting at 12:36 p.m.
Thank you.
You can now watch Commissioners Court meetings on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and search for El Paso County